Hey everybody, it's Kojak. I got a request from Solid Snake on the mob Discord to go through the control setup, and he lost his config file, so I'm going to put just a quick video together here to show the buttons that I've got programmed for the different functions in the F4. I'm not going to plan on doing any flying. I'm just going to go through the controls menu and click all the switches to show what I've got bound to each one. So here we go. And Solid Snake, this one is for you. First thing I'll start with is the axes. Those are pretty straightforward, pretty self-explanatory. But I will point out that I do have a couple of things that I customize specifically on the rudder pedals, and that is in the tuning. This is the user curve: 0, 3, 7, 12, 18, 25, 33, 42, 52, 72, and then up to 100. And the reason I do this is because of the inputs. It makes taxiing a lot easier, and especially when you're going down the runway until you hit 80 knots. The nose wheel steering being overly sensitive is no fun. I do this on all the airplanes that I fly. This, the Viper, anything else, especially in warbirds, I dampen out the rudder a lot. Stick pretty much is standard. I think I do have a little bit of a tune in there. Yeah, I've got a 10 curvature just to make fine tuning a little bit easier in fingertip formation. Split throttles, right throttle and left throttle. My afterburner detent is slightly off on each throttle, so I have the afterburner set at 29 and 12 using a slider, and so this is replicated on each throttle. Zoom view I've got set up on the slider on the throttle friction knob. Okay, getting into the buttons. Starting off with the stick on the trigger, half action on two-stage trigger, joy button 1, and then joy button 6 for the full action. That's pressed in all the way. Button 2 is the bomb release button. That's the red one in the upper left corner. Trim hat to the right of that is just for trim, nose up, nose down, wing left, wing right. The TMS down I have set up for gesture. That is the short or hold button. The left is back, and up is middle or select. I don't have anything for TMS right. DMS down is my HSI course arrow, and up is increase, down is decrease, and left and right on the DMS are the heading bug slew. The right outside index finger button is gesture context. Short hold and double click for your radar contacts. That's joy button 5. Joy button 3 is nose gear steering. That's down, and traditionally that's the same in at least aircraft that I flew that have the bottom pinky button attached to the stick. The pinky lever is the quick release lever, joy button 4. And then on the CMS, I've got that to click for air refueling release. Forward is tanker intent to refuel. Aft is tanker pre-contact. Left is chaff flare, and right is flares program dispense. That's it on the stick. I think I hit everything there. On the throttle, we've already talked about the axes there, so I'll go through the switches, starting from the top, the engine switches. Left engine master on and right engine master on, and then for the, those are the fuel override switches. The engine switches just after those. Forward, I've got start engine switch left and right, and then down on each of those I have nothing. The APU start switch I have for the drag parachute in deploy two-way, so going forward deploys the chute, coming aft retracts it back in. The landing gear warning toggle switch, I've got that just to do the gear. Coming down to the autopilot panel, path, altitude, heading, and altitude. For the Viper, forward on that switch is the taxi landing light three-way. So forward is whatever the forward part of the switch is. I believe that's taxi, and then aft. Just set it up like that. Joy button 27 on taxi light, and joy button 28 on landing light. In the middle, it'll go to off. Just select the three-way switch. On the radar altimeter switch, the APU or the autopilot disengage, that is the actual toggle for the autoflight control system. So basically autopilot on off. And then the switch to the left of that is the altitude hold disengage, two-way switch. Forward engages, aft disengages. Left of that, the EAC switch arm is set up for the air refuel switch. Retract and extend the two-way switch for the boom, for the port, the air refueling port. Flap switch is also set up on a three-way switch. Norm out, and then out, and then out and down. Just use the three-way up and three-way down. I think it's labeled backwards because three-way down is forward. Three-way up is aft. I don't know why it's like that, but doing it this way corresponds as you would expect. If you go flaps up, you're pushing the switch forward. If you go flaps down, you're pulling the switch aft. On the left throttle outside, that is my gun missile pinky switch to switch between the different modes, gun, heat, and radar, forward and aft, three-way up, three-way down. I'm using three-way down is aft, three-way up is forward. The big red button on the left throttle is set up for left engine ignition, and then right engine ignition is the little mouse push button on the right hand throttle. The hat, so far what I have programmed, the index finger hat on the right throttle, up is weapon slew, left, right, up, down, and then on the thumb hat, click in for the comms menu, the backslash key. Forward is nothing, aft is nothing, up is nothing, and down is nothing. I've got nothing else mapped there yet. Speed brake lever is right where it's supposed to be. Forward is locked in, aft is out to and hold for them to go out. The rocker, I have nothing for, the switch just below speed brake, and then the red switch I have for cage forward, and then gun missile pinky, the reject switch, I have that set for aft. And I think that covers all of the switches. Now, I will go into, that's not all I use, because I do have a Viper ICP that I got from an Italian company, and I've got two Cougar MFDs. So I've used those to spatially lay out where I have other switches that I find myself using. So on the MFD, I've got things like the canopy. In the cockpit, I have the top row is set up for the station status, the top 5. I've also got the master arm just to the right of that on that rocker switch. Going down the right-hand side, I think I just have jettison set up there with the jettison selector in the lower right, the contrast rocker. Going down the left side is basically the gun switch, because the top 5 only cover the pylons. So I guess that is button 20, just below the gain rocker on the MFD. Anti-skid on and off, because that's over on the left-hand side. That's just below buttons 18 and 19. And then I've got CADC corrections and fuse armings to basically for a toggle there. Delivery mode I've got in the lower left rocker, the brightness rocker, and then across the bottom from left to right, weapon selector, counterclockwise and clockwise, the quantity clockwise and counterclockwise, and then the bottom one on the right is to release the drag chute if I don't want to retract it. The other buttons that I do have mapped on the ICP are basic functional buttons. The COM 1, 2, and 3 across the top, or COM 1 and 2 are internal view and external view. The various other switches that I've got assigned to the ICP are for the stab AUG and radar missile switch as a toggle, the interlock, and then a couple of other miscellaneous for the knee board, the nav mode, so I can change from TACAN to IL or TACAN to onboard. I don't think I have anything for drift correction gain. I got flashlight over there. And the HUD mode, I've got that mapped on the ICP as well. I've got enter for the grease pencil. I've got a recall switch for the master caution. Not things that you necessarily need to do, but just things that I know where they are, so I can just reach up without having to take my hands off the stick and move the mouse around. A couple other functions I have on the right hand MFD are lighting, and I think, yeah, that's about it on the right-hand side, corresponding to the right. Seat position up and down. I think that's an important one because I do find myself changing the seat position. When I'm getting ready for AR, I'm going all the way up. When I'm getting ready to land, I'm going all the way up. When I'm doing my takeoff, I do basically a fist height on top of the glare shield. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'll put the seat up so the top of the bevel on the glass is just about on the horizon, somewhere right in there. And then when I land, I raise the seat all the way full up so that I can just see the nose. This is my default where I've got it set up for. So all the way up for me, I can just see the nose of the aircraft, and that helps line up for the technique I use, the 225 mils 3-degree glide slip technique, which you can see in one of the other videos. So that is pretty much all of my switchology. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. Snake, I hope this helps you out, and I hope you're able to get everything mapped the way you need to. If you've got any questions, hit me up on Discord. That's cool. And I wish you the best. Thanks for watching, and fly safe. Have fun.